if you had Donovan, Hosey, and Myles Garrett in the same room together, and you can only get one autograph, whose autograph you're getting. I feel like the results have changed about 15 times over. It was basically 33% all by all three players for the first 10 votes, and now I think it's Hosey, then Donovan, and then Myles Garrett. So I just think it's interesting because, on no planet should we expect a guy who's been here for 3 years to be in that conversation with guys who've been here for a decade.
Right.
But yet, at least early results are, Donovan's getting more votes than I thought he would get.
Yeah, I think it'll end up being Jose, and then maybe Myles has just made so many people mad as of late. Maybe it's just not as desirable. I'm not sure. But in a long-term setting, so I'd go Jose first. But Jose's a guaranteed Hall of Famer in my mind. Myles Garrett's a guaranteed Hall of Famer in my mind. And Donovan Mitchell, in a sport that it's the easiest to get into the Hall of Fame, is not a guaranteed Hall of Famer. And so I like the longevity of Myles will exist with the Browns. The longevity with Jose will definitely exist with the Guardians. What happens with Donovan over the next 2 years will dictate whether or not he's got any sort of longevity of the other players that we're discussing.
I agree. I do want to put a pin in that for a half a second just to point out, as crazy as it sounds, I think Donovan's already a Hall of Famer. I do.
The Basketball Hall of Fame is really, really easy to get into. And so, but if the Basketball Hall of Fame had the same standards as baseball or football, it wouldn't even be close. He wouldn't even be in consideration.
But they don't.
But he's never made a conference finals. I don't know. I don't know that that's true. That he's a lock.
I don't think that's necessarily I don't think that matters as much to individual NBA players for the Basketball Hall of Fame. The way if the standards were different, I think if we use the ring chasing standards as the end all be all and then restricted it to,
usually
that's 75% of your votes. Yes,
that's how you basically stamp your way into it, though. Is if you win the ring, then you.
There have been plenty of teams on bad. There have been plenty of good regular season players who don't go to conference titles and win NBA titles that have made it.
No. What I'm saying is, if you win the NBA ring and it is your ring, you're the best player on that team. I can't think of an example off the top of my head where you haven't made the Basketball Hall of Fame once you retired.
Oh no! Now we're in a lockstep. Yes. This is to get back to the point that we had put a pin in it so we could have the whatever sidebar I just did there. It's a thought within a thought. I do think the next 2 years are truly critical to Donovan's legacy, not just in Cleveland but beyond, because I think if by the end of this year, Mark Spears is right, and the Cavs win a title this year, I think we do this same voting thing, in June. And I think it's overwhelmingly in favor of Donovan.
Yeah, unfortunately for Donovan is that he plays in a city where we had LeBron James. And we had a lot of really good players. And so he's got to get to a championship level before I think people around here will perceive him to be in the Myles Garrett and even Jose Ramirez category, despite them not having to achieve what LeBron had to achieve.
I don't think it's about. I think Donovan's already. I think when you think of faces of Cleveland sports, I think he's already there. So I disagree with the premise.
No. He's on the faces. If we're doing a Mount Rushmore, he's there. No one's taking him off of it. It's just, are you in the same stratosphere as Jose and Myles? And for me, he's not.
Well, but I think we're saying roughly the same thing. Because I agree with your initial statement that I think the reason why I'd be surprised if Donovan got the most amount of votes here is because he's been here for 3 years. So if Donovan wins a title in the next 2 years, I'm going to rubber stamp it that he's going to finish his career here. I think if he proves you can win with this team and the organization supports him to that, I'm going to imagine he's got another 4 or 5 years in Cleveland, and I think once you get to that spot.
But I also just don't perceive him to be as good at his job as Myles is at his and Jose is at his.
I would disagree with you on that.
I know. I'm going to explain it out here. So, Myles is, in my opinion, one of the best defenders in the previous decade in the NFL. And that puts him in rarefied air. But for his spot and his position, I think he's as good as it gets. And then with Jose, I think Jose's been a top 5 player in the sport for almost a decade himself. And, yes, he hasn't won the league MVP, but how many top 5 league MVP finishes does he have? I think he's legitimately been top 5 in the sport for a number of years, whereas Donovan hovers between the 8 to 13 category. Donovan is not Luka. Donovan is not LeBron. Donovan is not, he's very, very good, but he's not at the level where Myles is in his sport and where Jose is in his sport.
I think 8 to 10 in the NBA is is as impressive as one of the 5 best players in Major League Baseball. Or in the case of Miles, this is no disrespect to Miles, because I think he is one of the 3 best defenders in the last decade. The problem is it's an offensive league, and it's your first 15 quarterbacks and then the most important edge rusher after that. Just in terms of like what wins games, whereas like Donovan is what wins games, certainly in the regular season in the NBA.
Am I overvaluing Miles in the discussion then?
I think it's more you might be undervaluing Donovan. I think Donovan is an elite offensive player in an era filled with a lot of really good offensive players. And I don't think Donovan, I think Donovan at every stop has had to do the heavy lifting. And I think Cleveland, he's finally, with Darius, he doesn't always have to do it, but you see it. What do we see? What was the biggest thing that happened out of game 1? It was, Donovan had to take over the game. And it's he had to take over the game because nobody else was taking over the game.
I know, but
I think that speaks to his greatness.
Okay, but I don't see the popularity in the same way that I see it with J-Ram or even Miles.
No. We're having 2 different conversations. There's the path to popularity, which I think we agree, Donovan short on time in Cleveland and short on the postseason hardware as well. Mm-hmm. And then I think there's just how good each player is at their respective sport and what that means over a longer duration in a town like Cleveland.
Yeah, but I think for all the reasons we laid out, so it's obvious why he's lagging behind everyone here in this discussion.
I think he's still ahead of Miles. I wonder.
Well, Miles might have damaged himself. That might be the difference in this discussion here.
I think the Miles thing's really
difficult. If we did this poll a year ago, I bet it's different results.
I also think you were closer to winning. And it's kind of like, it's the chicken or the egg conversation with Miles. I've made no bones about it. I was pissed at Miles for the trade request. Not for the trade request, but for coming off it in 6 weeks and making everybody who said he deserves better look like a-holes so he could get paid $40 million. I understood it, but I didn't love it. Mm-hmm. And then I think the other thing is, obviously, his comments from 2 weeks ago, I didn't like either. Other than that, I think the Browns have done more to damage Miles' popularity than Miles has done himself. Yes, Miles is non-traditional in the way he approaches things, and he's a bit of an odd duck in some ways for people. I think the Browns being a substandard football team or worse for all but 2 seasons in the NFL, I think sometimes Miles gets punished by fans because that's a really, really feckless organization at points.
That's fair. No, I'm not going to disagree with that. I just, you can tell his popularity is not what it once was a year ago. There are enough people that are like yourself that have really, really held his feet to flame when it comes to these type of discussions based off of what he did in February, where he dragged the franchise and did everything else.
And it's funny, on one hand, still a little irritated at Miles for that. On one hand, didn't appreciate what he said last Friday and has certainly blasted him for it. On the other hand, I'm like, man, I wish that guy didn't get dragged through the mud because of the team he plays for.
Well, but then again, there are enough people, too. Even, when the Cavs were in the playoffs or entering the playoffs, Miles, being the owner that he is of the team, was there, and he got standing ovations, round of applause. I think Miles is going to age so much better than what he is right now in this moment. I think 25, 30 years from now, you're going to talk about Miles as if he was one of the greatest Browns players to ever play.
I think it's much like LeBron. I've said, when people are comparing LeBron while he's playing to the ghost of Michael Jordan, and it's not fair because you've had 20 plus years to miss Michael Jordan, and that absence, and by the way, and to forget any potential lumps on that resume. You haven't been able to do that with LeBron because he's never gone anywhere. He's on every TV at any given damn moment. So I think once you get 5 years removed from LeBron playing, I think his harshest critics will just sound like a-holes. I think most people will see that.
Yeah, but I think if we're talking about 25, 30 years from now, I think this is where I truly do settle in on Miles and J-Ram over Donovan in this discussion, is that, and again, Donovan's got 2 years to rewrite this and try to get me a new narrative, but J-Ram 25 years from now is going to age really, really well within how Guardians fans view him and love him and adore him. He's going to be looked at as one of the greatest of all time to ever put on the uniform. And then Miles, I think, is going to age really well as well. If if Donovan doesn't win in the next 2 years and win in anything more than what he currently has done, if you keep getting bounced in the second round, 25 years from now, you're not going to be really remembered at all.
It hasn't hurt Brad Daugherty. It hasn't hurt Mark Price. It hasn't hurt Larry Nance.
Yeah, but they didn't have the ghost of MJ and everything else that accompanies that. LeBron.
Bulls fans still like Derrick Rose.
Yeah, they do. But Derrick Rose he was from Chicago. He was literally the rose that grew from the concrete. People like myself watched Derrick Rose play in high school. Like there was a lot attached to Derrick being the hometown kid that won the MVP in a way that was just different for that conversation. But he's not viewed in any sort of light the way that any of those 90s Bulls players are.
216-474-0092. If Donovan, Hosey, and Miles were all in the same room with you and you could only get one autograph, which Cleveland GOAT are you choosing? I think what's interesting is not that Jose Ramirez has 63% of the votes, at Nick Wilson says right now. It's that Donovan has 21% of the votes and Miles has 15% of the votes. Let's go with Cisco. Cisco, that's a fun name. In Kirtland, welcome to the show, bud.
Gentlemen, how we doing? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, buddy.
Hello, Cisco.
Hey, just wanted to kind of weigh in. I mean, obviously Jose is the shoe, and he's number one. I don't see that changing any. He gets injured for the rest of his career, but I think it's really a toss-up at this point because Miles hasn't gone anywhere either, and I understand that he's had not the supporting cast that Donovan's had, but at the same time, Donovan's ability to take over games when Mobley and the other guys aren't shows that he is a superstar in the league. But he plays a position that's just really, really tough. And we have a lot of good point guards and a lot of good shooting guards in the league as well. So I think we're kind of comparing him to the Steph Currys and those guys, which he's not exactly on that level, hasn't made it to where they've made it. He doesn't have the hardware to show behind it. But at this point, I think he's a scotch above Miles, based on the comments and everything that's happened with Miles, over the past few months and his comments, versus his contract and stuff. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Cisco, we appreciate you. I think one of the reasons why I love questions like this is, one, it is fun to be able to celebrate Donovan, Miles, Hosey, and honestly, we could have added Evan or we could have added Darius, who I think at points has had a lot of love in this town. It's cool to be able to have three franchise caliber players on any one of our three teams at any given point. But the other reason is it's just I really think that I don't want to call it like a moving goalpost or moving target, but it is something that can change radically. Like if Hosey won a World Series this next year instead of Donovan winning a championship in June, I don't know anybody but LeBron could ever touch Jose in this town again. Hometown discount, World Series, 10-year franchise players. I think Jose's in rarefied air, so I think the discussion then it goes down to Donovan versus Miles, and obviously we just see it differently. Vincent on Twitter responding to the poll here.
Yeah,
I'm not a child. I don't ask for autographs. Real fun at parties, Vincent over here. Whew.
I want you to ask Mac Keith's question that started this whole thing.
Real quick, I will. I think Mac's not the only one that needs some clownitudes over here. I think Vincent could use a little release here on a Football Friday. All right, I got to find the
I can ask it. I remember it.
All right,
Mac, you ready for this one?
Yeah, hit me.
We're going to give you the question, okay?
Yeah.
Again, you get one autograph. This is the whole basis of all this. You taking Donovan Mitchell or Shedeur Sanders?
Oh, Donovan.
Is that close?
Do you think more people in the city are taking Donovan or Shedeur?
More people in this city are taking Donovan over Shedeur.
Yeah, I don't think it's even close.
All right, that was the diabolical question.
If you ask it in Colorado, it's a different question.
That was the question from Keith. Okay.
If you ask it in Indiana, it's probably a different response. Well,
can we do a sub poll underneath that poll? Because I want to see
dueling polls.
I want to see how. Ooh. I want to see how close it ends up being.
All right, let's have Jake get on that, or maybe since I have the original one, let's do that. Would you choose a Donovan Mitchell autograph over a Shedeur Sanders autograph, or vice versa? We'll put that up at Nick Wilson Says.
I did check Basketball Reference for the Hall of Fame monitor that they have. They do a Hall of Fame probability. 29% for Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, that's interesting. So the initial Twitter poll, 65% of people saying if you could only get one of Donovan Mitchell, Jose Ramirez, and Myles Garrett's autograph there on the same room, 65.7% of 140 votes saying they'd choose Jose. 16.6% saying Donovan, and now 17% saying Miles. And then we did the follow-up, right?
Yeah.
Again, at Nick Wilson says, if you want to vote, who draws a longer line for autographs, Donovan Mitchell or Shedeur Sanders? It's early. 40 votes in. 73.7% of people saying Donovan.
Yeah. That's actually, that's interesting. I'm even surprised. That's not very good that Shedeur got as many numbers as he is. That's a lot of percentage for a guy that's never played a game.
22%?
Well, yeah, it's the same number that Donovan has or close to the same number Donovan's got in the initial poll, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, it's Donovan versus Hosey versus Miles. I don't know. I thought it would be much more 50-50. I thought the Shedeur stands would represent, which they're allowed to do because they're all over everything. They're all over social media. They're all over YouTube. They're a very loud group.
I guess we still got time. But I think the finality of this is the idea that what Mark Spears is trying to do and make Donovan as nationally popular as he possibly can be. I think it's a worthwhile venture for Donovan, and I like the idea that he's opening up more, and I like that we're knowing more about him. It can only be a good thing for Donovan.
216-474-0092. We got a developing situation at the Wilson household. You and I are going to have to talk about at some point.
All
Dad
right,
to dad, girl dad to girl dad. But
okay.
Thomas and Shaker joining us right now. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Hey, look, I want to just preference what I'm about to say. I'm biased right now because I'm on my way to New York right now to have played at the Nets in Barclays Center.
Are you driving?
I actually thought it was going to say Cavs versus the Knicks, and I was like, oh, buddy, I got some bad news for you.
I'm about 45 minutes out.
Okay.
Oh, it's nice. Hey, the lights aren't as bright at the Barclays Center, so you'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, it was cheap. It was about $300 cheaper to go to the Nets instead of the Knicks. So I cheaped out.
I wonder why. Is there a difference between the two franchises?
Can't find a difference.
I think it's the difference between the two venues, if I'm not mistaken.
That's also probably fair. Real quick, what's your take on Donovan versus Shedeur autographs?
Well, I met Shedeur, cool dude, nice smile. Definitely would prefer Donovan because Donovan Mitchell is a future NBA champion here in Cleveland. So shout out to my future NBA champion. Nothing against Shedeur, but I would definitely choose Donovan over Shedeur because Donovan Mitchell is Showtime, baby. Like how blessed are we to have Donovan Mitchell? And this guy, I've seen this guy score 72 points in a game in person. He's amazing. He's Showtime in New York. He's big time. He makes big time threes. He talks a big game, and he gets national attention. How do you not love Donovan Mitchell? Come on.
And here's the thing, and I thank you for the call, Thomas. I really do think if we were another 3 years into Donovan, I think this poll would be even more interesting. Championship or no, if you'd only topped out in the second round. Where I really find myself becoming a huge Donovan fan is I just love Bulldog players. Like I just love dudes who just play so hard that you're like, that dude is just a force of nature, and he shouldn't be. Like he's a 6'3" combo guard. Like, but watching him play, even defensively, like he might not be the greatest defender in the world, but that dude plays his ass off on it, and I really just love watching that dude. I think he's got the kind of edge that I think Cleveland responds to.
And he's just very rootable and very likable. If he had started his career here instead of Utah, I think it would be a real competition between him and Jose in what we're talking about here. And Miles would just be out of the loop. If he had started his career here in Utah. I feel so bad that Donovan started his career in Utah and everyone got to kind of learn about him in Utah because that team did him no favors. Rudy Gobert seems like a punk. Like he just kind of got screwed in many different ways, and so that's why I loved even go back to like his opening press conference. All he talked about was like wanting to root for another team in the city. And what has he done? Because he didn't have that in Salt Lake City. He's been to like 1 million Guardians games. He goes to all these Browns games. Like he just loves it. I love that for him.